Good morning. Hope everybody is well. Not legal advice. Please like, subscribe, share, show to your animals, especially your dogs and plants. Usually, plants aren't considered animals, and they're not considered animals for me either. I wanted to do a fairly short video today talking about a PR, a press release that was on Benzinga today about LIND partners and finger motion. So I was struck by it. I wanted to just kind of reflect on what my initial thoughts were about it because I thought it was an interesting press release. And since a lot of us hold finger motion, I thought it'd be interesting to talk about. So I will do that after I do three quick things. And I don't know if you follow this, but what I try to do, I try to make my jokes topical to the topic I'm going to focus on. So these jokes that I'm doing today are slander jokes. So they may not be funny, by the way, but I try to keep them in the same subject matter just for explanation. So, did Johnny Depp win his defamation case, or was it misheard? Okay. A man who has recently lost his vision was charged with slander. They said he was making blind accusations. And last but not least, this is my favorite of the three, by the way. And by the way, I try to make that also. In my opinion, the third joke is usually the best of the three, but that's all personal taste. What is it called when your gynecologist slanders your grandfather? A pap smear. Okay, so I saw today um, a intentionally this. So I'm not this is my opinion, not legal advice. This is the way I see it. I saw the PR. It was on Benzinga. What's with Benzinga? They seem to be the capybara associates because they were published the capybara nonsense before. I know that capybara's involved in litigation, which they defaulted on, and I guess the judgment will be entered against them if it has not already been. And I think Benzinga was the publisher of that. So I don't know if Benzinga might have problems, but it's interesting that Benzinga, Mr. Benzinga, I've never met that gentleman, by the way, who published the PR, at least where I saw it, uh, published this, which again is pretty thin. I'm just going to say, at best, it's thin. It's thin. It may suggest certain people, but it's so thin that it probably didn't deserve to be published in the first place. So, what is Mr. Benzinga doing? How much time is Mr. Benzinga spending looking at content before taking somebody's bucks, notwithstanding whatever the content is? That's the problem. Mr. Benzinga is the problem. Um, and I know he may be involved, Mr. Benzinga may be involved in litigation. So maybe he'll be involved in more litigations. But I wouldn't understand why Mr. Benzinga would want to be involved in more litigation. But so be it. I saw it on Mr. Benzinga's site. I really know nothing about LIND Partners, never met anybody, never talked to anybody. I know when I just checked, I took a quick look, and I know they've been involved in litigation. I know they had a dispute with an Australian company, and like 14 shareholders wanted to refuse their financing or something like that. I know there was other litigation. I know there's claims that they helped facilitate toxic lending, resulting in conversion of notes for stock, which is to the disadvantage of the recipient and shareholders. And I know there's accusations about them that they might even short their own stock pre to make a bunch of money. And that's the money they use to pay on the loans, and so they're really funding the loans with the recipient's money. So I've heard all that. I don't know any of that's true. I don't know, but I've heard all that. But I did review the PR and I saw the accusations, and I guess the accusation is to the extent I don't even know what the accusation is. The accusation, I guess, suggests that there's some misstatement about LIND Partners holding a short position in finger motion. And I don't know. I don't recall specifically ever hearing somebody saying that they currently hold a short position, but that's what the accusation is. And then they kind of throw out some information over the past 15 months that they suggest what their prior position was, like approximately 3.5 million shares or something. Part of that through a convertible note, and they say that basically they've divested themselves of those shares. They only have 1,000 left, and they're going to file some form coming up, maybe a 13D form or some form like that, to show that they have no further interest. But they used the term 15 months, which I found was interesting because I don't know how long they've been involved in GTII. Have they been involved in GTII for only 15 months? And what was their ownership outside of that? I didn't understand why they kept 1,000 shares. It almost seems like that's a manufactured process. In other words, to set something up. Otherwise, why would they keep 1,000 shares? What's that? $4,000, $5,000? What? It doesn't really make any sense. So why didn't they divest themselves? Um, they also indicated that at one point in time they had 6.8% stake in the company. I think that's what they said, 6.8%. And I think under the rules, if you have more than a 5% voting stake in any company, you have to file a Form 13D. So I don't know if they don't think they had to comply with that, or if they did comply with that, or if they didn't comply with that. No idea, but I know it's not addressed in that PR, interestingly. I know that PR doesn't reference any person in particular. It's kind of weak in that way. It's throwing out bald accusations, hoping people will speculate about names, but without having the courage and the integrity to make the accusations. In other words, if these guys believe that there's a bunch of fraudsters out here misrepresenting things about finger motion, then they should immediately sue those fraudsters. Because if that's what's occurring, that would be an appropriate reaction. So if I was LIND Partners and I thought there were unnamed people who were apparently making misstatements, and that's another thing is, so somebody could make misstatements, but is that damaging? So in other words, if like LIND Partners had a bad reputation to start off with and somebody defamed them, would they really suffer any damages? I don't know, but you understand, if somebody is a scumbag and if their actual reputation is they're a scumbag, and you call them something worse than a scumbag, is their reputation really harmed? Um, but the point being, if they feel that if they've been damaged, then they should file an action. And of course, if they file an action, then we would have open discovery, and their books and records, emails, communications, agreements, etc., would be open to review. And I don't know if that's something they'd be interested in. But if someone really had a beef and they thought they'd been harmed, and they're obviously represented by counsel because they put out this PR, and that PR had been reviewed by counsel. So if that's the case, they should file an action and show us who wronged them. Or they should also, flip side of that, as opposed to having a PR that refers to anonymous, they should cite the people and indicate when these comments were made and what the specific comments were, not just throw out vague nonsense. Really, it's just a way of trying to cloud the record. Hopefully, maybe a algorithm will pick it up in some fashion and pick up some words in there. Maybe that's the design. But again, it's kind of like capybara in that it was so non-specific and non-factual that if you were attacking it, it has little value. And that's surprisingly, again, that's why I'm surprised that Mr. Benzinga would publish this. So I don't know about the 6.8% stake, and if they filed the appropriate form. They probably should have said that in their PR here too, and Mr. Benzinga should have requested that too, to be complete, of course. Then there was some warning about the investing public. I don't know what the warning is. About what? Is the warning about the reputation of LIND, that LIND is warning the public to be wary of LIND partners? I didn't really understand. Um, I know the assertion is there's a misrepresentation again as to the current short ownership of LIND Partners. But again, I don't know when they're claiming that was made and who made it. And I note again, for the record, that they limit their period of time to only 15 months. So it's interesting, as a specific time limit. So, with all that being said, I thought, what can we do to ascertain the truth of what's in that PR? So what I'm doing, I'm going to volunteer my services. So this is what we're going to do, and this will be to test the validity of the statement, because I think if you could do all these, if you could say yes to all these statements, and you agree to sign the affidavit that I will prepare for you at no cost, that would go a long way to making me have more belief in whatever you say. So this is what I propose. I will agree to prepare an affidavit for you under penalty of perjury, and you can attest to the following. One, that LIND has never held a short position in finger motion. Two, that LIND has never aided or facilitated in the shorting of finger motion. Three, other than referenced in the PR of today's date, LIND has never had any other financial arrangements involving the finger motion securities. Four, LIND Partners has filed all necessary forms with the SEC. Five, at no point in time has LIND ever engaged in criminal misconduct. And six, the CEO of LIND Partners will be the one signing this affidavit. So, Mr. CEO of LIND, and I don't know who that is, please contact me. I will not charge you for the preparation of the affidavit, and you can demonstrate your credibility as vaguely referenced on the PR today, probably designed to hurt finger motion stockholders. That's just my speculation. It's kind of seems to be in line with the capybara stuff, throwing out vague, unsubstantiated claims near times where the stock might be impacted, because we have earnings coming up. They may be very positive. This might be a pre-attack. And again, my concern more is the publishers here. I don't understand why Mr. Benzinga is publishing this nonsense. But anyway, so I'm willing to prepare that for Mr. CEO of LIND Partners, whoever you are, no cost. And I hope you have a Merry Christmas. And Mr. CEO of LIND Partners, I look forward to hearing from you. Please DM me, and I will prepare the document for you right away. And it'll be in line with what I just said. So it wasn't really, I thought your PR was pretty weak, but let's see if you're willing to stand behind it. And again, if you have a actionable claim against anybody for slander, defamation, or something like that, where you actually been harmed, and I indicated that one of the problems that you might encounter with a defamation claim is you have to have actually damage to your reputation. And if you start off with a bad reputation, then damage is hard to prove. But let's say you think you can establish damage. To establish your credibility, you should pursue. If you think you have a credible claim, pursue it. and let's see through discovery what was really going on. Because listen, if you're correct and this is all a scam and everybody is getting scammed, we should bring this out. Everybody should know about it either way, right? Because you would agree to that too, I'm sure. Anyway, have a happy holidays, Mr. CEO. And to all you who happen to watch this, take care. Have a happy holiday and a healthy new year. And I will see you guys later. And that's it.